Travel along, Catholic pilgrims, for 1 year as we read through St. Faustina's diary. Join me, Amy Thomas, each day for a short reading out of the diary which brought us a deeper understanding of Christ's divine mercy. Welcome, Catholic pilgrims, to day 271 of our readings from St. Faustina's diary. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics in Christianity, and that is angels. 2 years back, about 2 years ago, I started a study of angels, and each Wednesday on my daily microblog, I would give some information about angels. And today in our readings, Christ is going to talk about angels. And Sister Faustina is going to ask him a question. He's going to answer her. And so I thought it would be great to talk about angels. So we will be reading from Notebook 5, numbers 1330 through 1334. Oh, how good it is to spend a retreat close to the most sweet heart of my God. I am in the wilderness with my beloved. No one interrupts my sweet conversation with him. Jesus, you yourself have deigned to lay the foundations of my sanctity, as my cooperation has not amounted to much. You have taught me to set no store on the use and choice of created things, because my heart is of itself so weak. And this is why I have asked you, O my Master, to take no heed of the pain of my heart, but to cut away whatever might hold me back from the path of love. I did not understand you, Lord, in times of sorrow, when you were effecting your work in my soul. But today I understand you and rejoice in my freedom of spirit. Jesus himself has seen to it that my heart has not been caught in the snares of any passion. I have come to know well from what dangers he has delivered me, and therefore my gratitude to my God knows no bounds. Second day. As I was meditating on the sin of the angels and their immediate punishment, I asked Jesus why the angels had been punished as soon as they had sinned. I heard a voice. Because of their profound knowledge of God. No person on earth, even though a great saint, has such knowledge of God as an angel has. Nevertheless, to me, who am so miserable, you have shown your mercy, O God, and this, time and time again. You carry me in the bosom of your mercy and forgive me every time that I ask your forgiveness with a contrite heart. Profound silence engulfs my soul. Not a single cloud hides the sun from me. I lay myself entirely open to its rays, that his love may effect a complete transformation in me. I want to come out of this retreat a saint, and this in spite of everything. That is to say, in spite of my wretchedness. I want to become a saint, and I trust that God's mercy can make a saint even out of such misery as I am, because I am utterly in goodwill. In spite of all my defeats, I want to go on fighting like a holy soul and to comport myself like a holy soul. I will not be discouraged by anything, just as nothing can discourage a soul who is holy. I want to live and die like a holy soul, with my eyes fixed on you, Jesus, stretched out on the cross as the model for my actions. I used to look around me for examples and found nothing which sufficed, and I noticed that my state of holiness seemed to falter. But from now on, my eyes are fixed on you, O Christ, who are for me the best of guides. I am confident that you will bless my efforts. In the meditation on sin, the Lord gave me to know all the malice of sin and the ingratitude that is contained in it. I feel within my soul a great aversion for even the smallest sin. However, the eternal truths I have been meditating on do not bring even a shadow of disturbance or unrest into my soul. And although I take them very much to heart, my contemplation is not thereby interrupted. In this contemplation, it is not transports of the heart that I experience, but a depth of peace and a wonderful silence. Although my love is great, I experience an extraordinary equilibrium. Even receiving the Eucharist causes no feeling, but brings me to a depth of union where my love and God's love are fused together as one. So in Sister Faustina's meditation today, in the second day of her retreat, she's meditating on the sins of the angels and their immediate punishment. And she asked Jesus, why the angels had been punished so soon after they had sinned. And Christ answers because of their profound knowledge of God. No person on earth, even though a great saint, has such knowledge of God as an angel has. So I wanted to take this opportunity to talk about angels. Like I said, I did a whole year study on them. It was so interesting. I love talking about angels. I think mostly because I do believe I have met mine at one time, disguised as an old lady. If you haven't read that blog, maybe I can put it in the show notes. And so you can read about the time when I believe I met my guardian angel, if you haven't read it already. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give off some information, kind of a top 5 list of, some information about angels that you may not know. And the first one that I'm going to do is number 5. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to kind of have some sub topics underneath number 5, just to really quickly give you some basic information about angels, and then we'll go from there. So number 5 with subs. Angels are pure spirit. They do not have bodies like we do, obviously. They don't need to eat. They don't need to sleep. And they don't really have wings. However, we depict them as that in paintings and such because of their ability to move wherever they want, whenever they want. They're not limited to walking and running. They can get where they want instantaneously. The word angel means messenger, which seems very fitting. In the Bible, we see lots of situations where angels are delivering messages. When we die, humans do not become angels. Humans in heaven are saints, human saints. And we are very distinct from the angels. And believe me, I don't say this to shame anyone that claims that a loved one in heaven is an angel. I know why people are saying that. However, we have to remember that every angel and every human that is in heaven is a saint. So think of it this way. Every human in heaven is a saint. Every angel in heaven is also a saint. But no human in heaven is an angel, and no angel is a human. I hope that makes sense. Saint means holy one. So any creature that's in heaven is a saint. Angels do not reproduce. They don't have bodies, so no reproduction is even possible. All the angels that there are were all created by God. They don't have angel babies, despite the depictions of little angel babies, the cherubs that we see sometimes in paintings. Angels have a higher intellect than we do, and they are not limited by physical constraints. And like I said, they can be anywhere instantaneously. So that's number 5. I know that was a lot, but I just kind of wanted to lay a baseline for just some basic information about angels. So number 4 is Saint Basil, who was from Turkey. He once wrote, "Beside each believer stands an angel as protector and shepherd, leading him to life." And I just think that's pretty cool. There has been some studies done to show that the belief in guardian angels has dropped off. And in my humble opinion, I think the reason for that is a overemphasis on science as the only way we can know anything. And so there can tend to be a rejection of the supernatural. And since we cannot physically see angels, even though they are all around us, we can't quantify them in any way. We can't run studies on them, but we can see their effects. And if you're a believer, the Bible talks about angels, and so we believe what the Bible says, and so there must be angels. Okay, so number 3 is really interesting. If you've ever been to a cemetery, particularly a Catholic cemetery, one of the predominant types of statues that are in a cemetery are angels. And, sometimes you'll get Marys, but for the most part, if you are in a cemetery and you see a statue, it's going to be of an angel. My great grandmother, who I never knew, she died the year before I was born, She's buried in Atchison, Kansas, and my dad was going up to decorate her grave one time, and he's like, "You gotta see this angel statue in the Atchison Cemetery." And it's huge, it's enormous, and very eye-catching, let's just say that. Even though the cemetery is a little weird, has a weird vibe. I don't know. Some cemeteries are not creepy to me, and then some are, but that's just me. So why all the angels? I mean, is it just because they're comforting and seems like a nice thing to have in a cemetery? Well, actually, the reason why there are so many statues of angels in cemeteries is because there is the ancient belief that it is the angels that lead you to heaven. In a funeral mass, the priest will say, "May the angels lead you to paradise." And even in the Bible, there's a scripture verse that says, "And Lazarus was carried to Abraham's bosom by the angels." And so that is where we get that depiction, and we put it in our cemeteries, is because we believe that upon your death, the angels will lead you to where you're going. The next one, number 2, is there's a ninefold division of the angels. We don't know exactly how they're ordered and exactly what it all means, but we believe, or the church believes, that the cherubim sit at the top. And oftentimes cherubim are depicted in modern art as like the little cherubs I was talking about. However, if you look in the book of Ezekiel, there is a description of the cherubim. And they are not the little chubby cherubs that you see in some art paintings. They're actually kind of intimidating. They have 4 faces and 2 sets of wings. And when I was in Istanbul at the Hagia Sophia, these angels are depicted in the corners of the massive, massive Hagia Sophia. It's truly an enormous building, and these angel paintings are enormous. And because it's no longer a Catholic church and instead is a Muslim mosque, Muslims do not allow the faces of anything to be depicted in art. And so, sadly, if I remember correctly, there are 4 gigantic paintings of angels, of the cherubim, up on the walls, on the ceiling, close to the ceiling. And 3 of the 4 faces have been painted over, and all that you can see is the wings. So my friend and I were like, maybe we should take a picture of the cherubim with the face that they hadn't gotten to yet, and document that, yes, once in fact, this is what it was. And so we did. And then lastly, number 1, angels do have free will. Now, it's a little different than ours because angels, like God said here in Sister Faustina's readings today, they have a profound knowledge. They have more intellect than we do. They don't have to learn. They're just infused with a high, high intellect. That's why angels are over humans, because they possess higher levels of intellect and knowledge, and especially knowledge of God, and they aren't confined to time and space like we are. And so they're above us in the order of creatures. But that's why it makes it so amazing when Gabriel came to Mary that he said, "Hail, full of grace," almost as, like he was greeting a queen, showing her reverence. He's higher than her as she's a human and he's an angel. But because she was to be the mother of God, she is higher than him. So anyway, angels do have free will, and the belief is that there was a test of their free will. God created them, but they had to choose to belong to him and to want to worship him. And so that is where you get the fall of Satan and the other angels that went along with him, and St. Michael having to throw them out of heaven. So they did have a test. It's just that once an angel makes a choice, they can't change their mind because they know exactly what the consequences of their choices are. And so that's final, and that's it. So their free will is exercised a little differently than ours is, but it's good to know that God gave them free will just like he gave us free will. And we can choose him or not choose him because he does not force us to love him. But if we don't choose him, then he respects our wishes, and we move into a space and a place where it is devoid of God, because that's what we've chosen. So hopefully we never choose that. So I hope you enjoyed this little talk about angels. This is just scratching the surface. Like I said, I did a whole year study on it, and I feel like I could even do more. So love this topic. I hope you enjoyed it. But I will see you back here tomorrow for day 272. And until then, live the faith boldly and travel well.